Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Today is April 1st, 2022, and we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, and I believe it's text 43. Yes.
Did we read 42? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we're reading 43. Yeah.
Okay. So 1, 3, 43. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shavyasa, the empty author. Nastapraeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtikim. So 3, 1, 43. Welcome everyone. Nunam Nipanam Tri Madotpatanam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubim.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubim.
Vadat Pramarti Jihir Shayesho.
Vadat Prapanati Shayesho.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavam Kurunam.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavam Kurunam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Vadat Pranartir Jihir Shayesho.
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho.
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubihim.
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho.
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
Yupaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam Nunam Nipinam Trimadotpatanam
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam
Ahimuhuscha Layatam Chamubi
Mahimuhusalayatam Chamubi
Adhat Prapanarti Jihir Shayesho
Vadat Prapanati Shayesho
Yupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Yupakshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chumubi
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubi
Vadat Papanati Jihir Shayesho
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho
Yapakshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Yupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam. Anyone online would like to chant the verse?
Nunan Ripam Trimadotpatanam
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamudi
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubi
Radhat Prapanarti Jihir Shayesho
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho
Pyupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Yupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Nunam Ripanam Trimadotpatanam
Nunam Nipanam Trimadotpatanam
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubi
Mahim Muhushalayatam Chamubi
Vadat Prapanarti Jihir Shayeshu
Vadat Prapanati Jihir Shayesho
Yupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam
Yupaikshitagam Bhagavan Kurunam. Nunam,
Nunam,
of course. Nipanam,
Nipanam,
of the kings.
of the kings.
Three. Mada Utpatanam,
Madhupatanam
going astray out of false pride.
Going straight to false pride.
Mahim,
Mahim,
earth.
earth.
Muhu,
Mu,
constantly.
constantly.
Kalayatam,
Chalayatam
agitating.
Meditating.
Chamubi,
Chamubi,
by movement of soldiers.
a movement of soldiers.
Vadat,
Hot,
from the act of killing.
from the act of killing.
Prapana,
Kapana
surrendered.
Surrender
Artijihirshaya,
Artijihirshaya
willing to relieve the distress of the sufferers.
Willing to relieve the distress of the sufferers.
Isha,
Isha,
the Lord.
the Lord.
Api,
Api,
in spite of.
in spite of.
Upaikshata,
Upaikshata,
Agam,
Adam
offenses.
offenses.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the Supreme Lord.
Supreme Lord.
Kurunam,
Gurunam
of the Kurus.
Gurus
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Despite His being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, He, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus. Although they committed all sorts of sins, and although He saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements, carried out under the dictation of three kinds of false pride. Report. As declared in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears in the mortal world to execute his much-needed mission of killing the miscreants and giving protection to the suffering faithful. In spite of that mission, Lord Krishna tolerated the insults to Draupadi by the Kurus and the injustices perpetrated against the Pandavas, as well as insults to himself. The question may be raised, why did he tolerate such injustices and insults in his presence? Why did he not chastise the Kurus immediately? When Draupadi was insulted in the assembly by the Kurus by their attempt to see her naked in the presence of all, the Lord protected Draupadi by supplying an unlimited length of clothing. But he did not chastise the insulting party immediately. This silence of the Lord did not mean, however, that he excused the offenses of the Kurus. There were many other kings on earth who had become very proud of three kinds of possessions: wealth, education, and followers. And they were constantly agitating the earth by movements of military strength. The Lord was just waiting to get them together on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and kill them all at one time, just to make a shortcut in his killing mission. Godless kings or heads of states, when puffed up by advancement of material wealth, education, and increase of population, always make a show of military strength and give trouble to the innocent. When Lord Krishna was personally present, there were many such kings all over the world, and he thus arranged for the battle of Kurukshetra. In his manifestation of Vishvarupa, the Lord expressed his mission of killing as follows. In his manifestation of Vishvarupa, the Lord expressed his mission of killing as follows. I have willingly descended on the earth in my capacity of inexorable time in order to decrease the unwanted population. I shall finish all those who have assembled here except you, the Pandavas. This killing does not wait for you to take part in it. It is already arranged. All will be killed by me. If you want to become famous as the hero of the battlefield and thus enjoy the booty of war, then O Sabyasachi, just become the immediate cause of this killing and thus take the credit. I have already killed all the great warriors, Bhishma, Drona, Jaya, Drata, Karna, and many other great generals. Do not worry, fight the battle and be famous as a great hero. Bhagavad Gita 11:32-34. The Lord always wants to see his devotee as the hero of some episode, which he himself performs. He wanted to see his devotee and friend Arjuna as the hero of the battle of Kurukshetra, and thus he waited for all the miscreants of the world to assemble. That and nothing else is the explanation of his waiting. Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Nata Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachaline, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasha Parishatarine. Nunam Nipanam Trimadot Patanam, Mahim Uhur Chalayatam Chamumi, Vadas Rapa Narti Chihir Shayesho, Pyupai Kshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus. Although they committed all sorts of sins, and although he saw other kings constantly attaining the earth by their strong military movements, carried out under the dictation of three kinds of false pride. So, I'm feeling very blank today, very blank. So I pray that I can be instrument for every one of us leaving this class with greater desire to please Shri Prabhupada. So I invite you to join me in this prayer that we will all come out by increased desire to serve Shri Prabhupada. And yes, so what like strikes me here, how Shri Prabhupada says that and nothing else that and nothing else is the explanation of this waiting. So this like nothing else is the explanation of this waiting. Like I would come like few ideas for sure, if not a lot more than few, of like why would Krishna wait? And it's quite interesting paradigm here that nothing else is explanation of his waiting, because usually when Krishna does something, he has more, like he fulfills more purposes in just like one movement of action. So, but Shri Prabhupada is strong about Krishna wanted his devotee to take the glory and become famous, and that was his purpose. It was his purpose to wait, because Krishna is coming to this earth. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whenever and wherever there is the decline of religion, I descend myself, and I descend every millennium after millennium to annihilate the miscreants and to please the devotees. And so Krishna, when he's coming 5,000 years ago, is on the request of Mother Bhumi, because Mother Bhumi feels burdened. She feels burdened by all the military strength and all like the activities of the people in general, and she's like, she's suffering under being under like the human. And so she goes back to Brahma, and then together they go to the Keshavak ocean and pray to Vishnu. And then Krishna, on that request of his devotees, Bhumi and Brahma, he's descending on this earth. So that's his mission. That's his mission to fulfill the desire of Mother Bhumi. And Krishna could have fulfilled the desire in many other ways. Like he could, make a thunderstorm, or a hurricane, or a big fire, or a virus that's more lethal than coronavirus. Wow, I know, so scary. A virus that is more lethal than coronavirus. So Krishna really has ways how to annihilate the demons or the unwanted population. That because he wants to please his devotees, he's coming personally. So he wouldn't need to come for the demons. That he's coming personally to please his devotees. And so that's more of his real mission. More of his real mission is to please the devotees. And so part of it is like really like glorification of his devotees, like give the glory to his devotees. So all the world is celebrating them. And then so he is creating this situation that like Arjuna and the Pandavas will become victorious and glorious, and they will be honored and respected by all the people. I'm just now reading in Srimad Bhagavatam Father Vishmadev is leaving his body, and then there is I don't know Prabhupada in the purport, but in the verse there is like speaking how when Maharaj Yudhishthir, he gains the supremacy over the whole world, like he's the king of the whole world. And then when someone becomes a king of the whole world, at that time, he sends a message of that to all the little kings of the little regions. And then the king of the smaller region can decide if he accepts the supremacy of the new king or if he doesn't accept. And then if he doesn't accept, he is welcome to fight with the king, personally fight. And then if he loses, then he is killed and the new king is put in that region. So that's quite different, because now when there is a governor, he claims himself to be a ruler and doesn't ask anyone if they agree or don't agree. So when Maharaj Yudhishthir sends his messengers to the local kings, whether they accept him as the king of the whole world, everyone accepts him. Everyone accepts Maharaj Yudhishthir because everyone is joyful. Everyone is joyful that Maharaj Yudhishthir is going to be the king, and so that's Krishna's desire. That's Krishna's desire that his devotees, he's pleasing his devotees, and also that like the devotees will be accepted and glorified and famous by the people in general. And why? Because Krishna likes his devotees to be glorified. Like Krishna says, who thinks is my devotee is not my devotee, but who is the devotee of my devotees is my devotee. So Krishna creates, it's a win-win. Krishna creates a situation for everyone to glorify his devotees and thus being pleasing to Krishna and have the chance to come to him. And also for like Krishna is just like really happy when his devotees are served and glorified. So he wants Arjuna. He wants Arjuna to take all the credit. He wants Arjuna to take all the credit for that, which is already arranged. Like Mother Bube comes and she's requesting, like, can you like free me from this burden of all these people? I'm really tired of it. And Krishna could say, yes, okay, like here you have like big floods and it's done. But Krishna doesn't do it this way at that time. He does it this way in other times. He didn't do it at that time in this way because he wanted Arjuna to take the credit. And so he's kind of like letting he's letting the Kurus. No, what's the word? He's letting the Kurus to like continue their mischievous things because Krishna is patient, so he's waiting for like the right setup so that Arjuna can get the credit. So Krishna is not in the like rushing. He doesn't need to like kill the demons right away. He can give them like a little more time to enjoy their rascal dome and then smash them all at once. So I'm reading about Father Vishmadev leaving the body, and then the point Prabhupada makes there is that everyone who died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is not only liberated, but is getting their eternal Swarup form in the Vaikuntha or Goloka planets. I'm not sure if I'm confused about all these planets, but they are achieving the same form of like relationship as the devotees, because they are leaving the body while seeing Krishna. And Prabhupada says they are even more fortunate than Arjuna, because they are seeing this like most beautiful form of Krishna, the charioteer of Arjuna. And they are seeing his like face, they are seeing him from front, but Arjuna only sees him from behind. And Krishna like taking the role of a servant of his devotee is so endearing that all the soldiers on the battlefields of Kurukshetra, upon seeing him at the time of their death, they not only are completely liberated, but they become devotees themselves. So Krishna is so loving. Krishna is so loving, not only to his devotees, but to his enemies, to everyone. He's loving unconditionally. And so Srila Prabhupada speaks here about 3 kinds of false pride. So I imagine that correlates with the 3 kinds of possessions: wealth, education, and followers. But I'm not quite sure whether it does or not. So there are like different assets, like 3 kinds of false pride. Here we have wealth, education, and followers. But later in the report, there is something little else, like wealth and population. I don't see it now. Wealth, education, and increase of population, Srila Prabhupada says later on. So, and then Lord Chaitanya in his Shri Shikshastakam says, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim, Kavitam Vachakati Shakamaya, Mama Janmani Jamanishware Bhavatat Bhaktira Haitakitwaya. Oh my Lord, I do not want to accumulate wealth, I don't want a beautiful woman, and I don't want any number of followers. So I mentioned that at the different times, there are like different 3 kinds of the possession that correlates with the false pride. And these are like the false pride and this like effulgence, like this attractiveness of these possessions. That's what like binds us to the material world. And then we become slave. It's really like a slavery. So like wealth. So I guess it's like entangled, like it's the we do have principle. So if I have money, then I will feel something. So I'm looking for something in the money, because the money itself is really not that attractive. Okay, it's like now at least in the past it was like gold, but now it's like a piece of paper or like a virtual number somewhere. So for the senses, there is like nothing tangible about wealth, like nothing. Of course, I can buy things but there are some wealthy people who don't buy things. They just like really want to have the big number on the bank account. Yogeshwara told me about one woman, like she was one of the richest or maybe the richest American 50 years ago, and she had 4 sons, and then her son broke his leg, and she took him to the hospital for the poor people, and they said, well, we are not going to treat your son because you are like the most wealthy person in the world, really, so go to a regular hospital. And she wouldn't take her son to the regular hospital because she didn't want to pay the money for it. She really just wanted to have the big number on the account. And then what happened? Eventually, the son would get like amputated the leg because the broken bone wasn't cured at all, really. And then he got like inflammation in it. Actually, her 4 sons then became like, after she died and they inherited all the money, they became like great, like they basically gave everything to charity because they had so much compassion for poor people. Anyway, so there are really some people, it's amazing for me. Like, it's amazing for me that there are people who really like want, like their gratification is having like something not so, there's nothing for the senses. And if I have like a lot of money and then I buy vacation, or I buy a big house, or I buy a woman, I can buy so many things with big money. But just to have the number on the account, that's really amazing to me. But then, so there must be like something, there must be some gratification coming from it. And I think that comes from the have-to-be paradigm. So if I have this big number on my account, I will be safe. I'm safe. Because no matter what will happen in this world, I'm safe. I have a lot of money. I can, if there is not enough water for everyone, I can buy water. Or if there is not, if there is not enough food, still the rich people, they will have enough food somehow. So there is safety. So I think if I have money, I'm safe. And then of course maybe like others will admire me. I am like better than others. I am successful. Like so many like experiences that I bound to the money. If I have money, I will have that. But because it's the be do have principle, it's always acting. So I need to have like a lot of money. Otherwise, I am not safe. So I'm starting with I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm unsafe. And so I do what people who are not safe do and have what they have. And that means I never feel like I have enough money. And it doesn't matter if I'm the richest person in the world. It doesn't give me the feeling of safety because I start with and I am unsafe. And I become, it's the false ego. And I become slave of that. And then the woman, of course, it represents the sex, enjoyment, but also it represents like the subtle desire for appreciation, adoration, approval. So again, like I need like people. I need people to approve of me, to love me, to gratify my senses, because I don't feel lovable. I don't feel valuable. I'm not a good person. But if I have the people around me who appreciate me, and then like the woman man thing is like, this is like the one person who I'm like at the center of their world because they are like so attached to me and they need me so much. So that will give me, then I will feel loved and secure. But it never works this way. So that's why it's the false ego, because it's false. It doesn't work. It never works. I only think it will work. It never worked till now. Not today is today, right? So today it will work, I tell you. Today it will work for sure. Well, it's just April Fool. So if someone tells you it's going to work today is April Fool. So yeah, you can trust that.
So we'd be a fool to believe it.
We will be such a fool to believe it. And we are. The point is, we are such a fool. I mean, I can speak for myself. I do believe it. Again and again and again. I do believe it. But imagine the experience of life. If I knew in the core of my heart that I am safe in Krishna's hands, that I'm protected by him and I'm maintained by him, and then I'm so loved, like all the soldiers at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. No matter if they were fighting with Krishna or against Krishna, they all achieved the same, because Krishna loved them all unconditionally, all of them. So let's like theoretically accept, like Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita says, let's theoretically accept that there is Supreme Lord Personality, Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Personality of Godhead. Let's at least theoretically accept. So at least like theoretically accept that there is Krishna who is protecting and maintaining all of us, and who is the most dear friend, who is accompanying us in this world, and who is constantly loving, and everything that he does, all his actions are coming from this love, because he has his own we have. So if I'm a loving person, I do what loving people do. So if I really truly believe that, at least theoretically, why would I need anything? Why would I need anything? Because that's like what we are seeking for. Is like to be sheltered and loved, and to love. And that's all in Krishna. And that's we are all missing that. We are all missing that because we are We are just like rejecting it all the time. We are rejecting it all the time. It's like we went to the adoption office and they told us how like when the child is separated from the mother, it can go different ways after that. But the trauma of like being rejected by my own mother at the time of birth or shortly around that, it can create a scenario that the child like will never accept love ever in their life. Like it might be adopted as a 1-year-old and it's already completely closed down. Like, don't touch me, don't smile at me. And then no one will ever convince that child that he's loved. So, and we are all these orphans. We are all these orphans because we separated ourselves from our father. And then in that separation, to believe again, yes, I am lovable. It's just like people reject that. People reject that again and again and again and again. No matter how hard is Krishna trying to prove us otherwise, no matter how much is Krishna trying to prove us otherwise. And then like how many, we are all here. We are all sitting here today on Friday morning and reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are getting all that we need, all knowledge that we need. And Krishna, like with Arjuna, he wants all credits for Arjuna to take. So with Srila Prabhupada also, Krishna wanted all credits for Srila Prabhupada to take. So he was waiting for the right moment. And since Srila Prabhupada says, take all the credits. So you are the one who is glorified. You are the one who is famous all over the world. You are the one who like people are really like amazed by and admire and worship and want to surrender themselves to. So Krishna is sending his like most beloved devotees to us as act of his love. And then also Krishna doesn't even want to take like the fame or credits for it. He wants his devotee to take credit for it. So that's and Srila Prabhupada's love for us is same as Krishna. It's not Krishna's love for us and more. And Srila Prabhupada's love for us is the same as Krishna's love and more. Because the pure devotees is more merciful than Krishna himself. So imagine how great Krishna's love is when at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he gave the same to the enemies and to the friends. And then Srila Prabhupada's love, which is even greater. That's something like we cannot even conceive. We cannot conceive because we don't have access to love in the same way. Like where are my thoughts absorb like 99.99% of the day. It's like me, oh my God, me, all the time. But the person who is in love, he doesn't do that like this. He's constantly absorbed in like, how about others? Like, how about Krishna? How is Krishna doing? How can I please him? And how are the suffering living entities doing? How can I help them? So this love is like constantly in action, like with the heart that's absorbed there, and the mind that's thinking like how can I support this person or this person? How can I serve the devotees? How can I teach Krishna? And then the action. And Krishna really wanted Srila Prabhupada to take all the credit for it, and the way how he arranged it was like also like to so help us to see the magic. Like Srila Prabhupada could be a rich young man, and then like start a movement like that. And he could be famous rich young man. He's not. He's like old person living in like tiny little village somewhere in India. He doesn't have anything. And he has 2 heart attacks. And Krishna says, like, see how like glorious my devotees are. And Krishna Das Kaviraj when he writes this Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he's old and he has arthritis and rheuma and he doesn't see. And he writes Chaitanya Charitamrita because Krishna wants his devotees to take all the credits. So we can like be in awe with them, glorify them, worship them. And whom we worship, and we are like slowly becoming alike. It's a whole section in Bhagavad Gita about that. Like if I'm worshipping demons, I will gradually become like a demon. And if I'm worshipping pure devotees, I will gradually become alike. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to choose the right object of worship. Nunam nirpanam trimadot patanam mahim muhushalayatam chamuvihi vadat prapanartijir shayesha yukai kshatagam bhagavan kurunam. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins. And although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the dictation of 3 kinds of false pride. Yeah, so Krishna, imagine like he has fun in killing the demons, but he restrains himself because that's one of his opulences is renunciation. And he's renouncing so Arjuna can have that. So I welcome the discussion.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the presentation. Focusing on where verse and purport focuses. Mitamatram Bhavasavi Sachi. Arjuna. Krishna says to Arjuna, you can be but an instrument. And so, and then how he uses his devotees as an instrument. That's it. Like, certainly doesn't need to be according to our mundane calculations. Yeah, I appreciate your example. Yeah. Krishna could have done it other ways, but he's Srila Prabhupada in his elderly years in ways that are quite inconceivable. It mentions specifically in purport about why didn't Krishna just like destroy them when when Draupadi was insulted? Okay, because and there's some who say, that whole Draupadi and the unlimited lengths of sorry, that whole pastime didn't happen. There's some who say that. Of course, no, this is real history. And so I'm just hearing a class, I'm getting to say, the Pandavas would have acted on the spot. They wouldn't have tolerated that. But then again, Arjuna Yudhishthira, maybe they have like some deeper connection with Super Soul than we have.
Maybe.
But I'm saying that facetiously. Well, of course, they would have acted you know, like I would think they would act, but maybe they see like, no, there's, of course they're distraught and it's so insulting for them, you know, like that. But like they know, okay, Krishna has a plan to use us and all living entities in ways we can't conceive. So let us surrender here. Let us surrender here. Yeah. In regards, and sometimes I'm talking about like Srila Prabhupada's disappearance pastime. We say, oh, well, you know, Krishna wouldn't let such and such happen. Prabhupada appeared, or it would be like, no, if Prabhupada knew that someone was, you know, attempting to, you know, harm him in that way, he would have acted like I would have acted. That, but no, maybe Prabhupada, like Arjuna and Yudhishthira and Bhima have some, you know, deeper connection with, you know, Krishna's guidance here. So Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that point very much about like the super soul connection.
Yeah.
Like yes, like Krishna himself didn't fight the Kurus when Draupadi was disrobed, but then the Pandavas didn't either. So from the material point of view, that doesn't make much sense.
Right.
But then yeah, they were guided. Like it's not time to kill them. Be patient.
Well, Bhima wanted to.
Bhima wanted to.
Yes.
And then the surrender, like yeah, like Krishna knows, but yes. Anandini.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hladini, for your class. I was contemplating on how is that true today, you know, like that Krishna allowed this war to happen to glorify his devotees. And I thought, well, it's like it's also right now, it's a actual situation. There's a war happening in Europe, and for us, it's not so far away. So how is that true? And I couldn't see any, you know, like any connection. And then it came to me that actually when the war started, I was in India and I didn't check any news. But one day I got a message from my phone provider saying that all calls to the Ukraine are free. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Why? How come? I had no idea. And then the next information I got was another guest who said to me, like she is a Krishna devotee, and she said to me, look what the Hare Krishnas are doing for the refugees in Ukraine. And she showed me pictures of someone from England who went there with a big, like huge pot to cook for the refugees, like 1,000 plates a day. And I was so inspired and amazed. And so, yeah, that's, and I thought, well, that's maybe it, what is meant, you know, like how I learned about the war here was by hearing the great compassionate actions of these Krishna devotees.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Anandini.
And at the same time, it doesn't like minimize the terror and the horror and the pain that's there. And still, I think it's the first time I heard about a war from from an enlivening side or an inspiring side, and not just, oh, it's bombs and deaths and
Yes, it was like the first message that you got was this like loving act of compassion for this devotee from England. And then there is like a space for like not seeing it like so black and white, but also seeing the goodness that's like happening, like you are having the free refugees at your home. And there is so much goodness happening through like the war. They wouldn't come to visit if there was no war.
Yeah, that's another thing. We have wonderful association and also like there's so much, I see so much people so much want to help. Like as soon as some friends or neighbors heard, they bring us clothes and bicycles, you know, like we could have piles of bicycles. Just want to help, and it's really beautiful to experience.
So much opportunity for people to serve the devotees.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Maybe just clarify somewhere that an Hladini family, they're hosting a refugee family from Ukraine. Just
Yes.
everyone might not know.
Yes, for those who don't know, Hladini is providing shelter for a devotee family from Ukraine.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
When you were speaking about Krishna waiting, I was thinking, well, for Krishna is, there's no time. For him, waiting for, I don't know how many waiting, at least 14 years, of exile. And so let's say, okay, for 15 years to have the war happening and finally for the crew to get killed. But in terms of eternal time, that 14 years is like a glimpse, so there is that perspective. Krishna is doing everything in that eternal time. And for us, it may look forever. And what is a lifetime at the same time?
I hear that Krishna is not patient. He just like doesn't have a consideration of time.
When he says that, I was thinking,
Any other comments or questions? Srimad Bhagavata. Oh, Anandini.
Yes, I do have a question. I was thinking, how come does Krishna give, he wants to give all the glories to his devotees, but the devotees doesn't want any fame and, adoration, and he wants it to be, humble and simple. And so how come does Krishna want to give that to the devotee if the devotee doesn't want it?
That qualifies them to get it. I think. It's
Okay.
nice. Yeah, like Arjuna doesn't want to fight the battle, and he doesn't want the fame or the kingdom. He doesn't want any of that, and that qualifies him to get it. That's why, like for me as a practicing devotee, if Krishna would give me a situation that would like give me a lot of followers and things like this, that probably would bring a lot of false pride. So if Krishna loves me, he doesn't give it to me. And if Krishna likes me, maybe he will give it to me. But for the pure devotee, Krishna can do it because he doesn't have to like worry about the well-being of the pure devotee. Like he would worry about the well-being of myself. Because if I give this to Hladini, she will be so astral. In the word to word, he says, that was really nice. I don't see it now. Going astray out of false pride. So Krishna thinks like, oh, Hladini would go astray out of false pride. So that's like a risky thing. But for the pure devotee, Krishna doesn't have to worry about such thing.
Thank you. That's simple and clear.
Thinking of the pastime. So, okay, well, it's quite an involved pastime there in the 4th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But so Madhavendra Puri, he was serving his deity Govinda, and he was doing great travel. And the travel, he stopped in, I think it was Ramuna. And so it was a whole thing with the sweet rice. And so he thought he was very fallen because he wanted to taste the sweet rice, not like for the reasons I might want to taste sweet rice. He wanted to taste the sweet rice so he could get that perfect recipe to please his deity Govinda. Gopal, thank you. So, okay, so then he was seeing himself as very fallen and degraded. So then he's just like out in the village, and then the Gopinath deity appears in the dream of the pujari. The Gopinath deity says, "Oh, I've stolen a pot of sweet rice and I put it around this curtain here. So bring it to the sannyasi named Madhavendra Puri." So the pujari woke up and there was the sweet rice that the deity had stolen and put it aside. So the deity became known as Kshirachara Gopinath. Gopinath who steals sweet rice. So the pujari went outside early in the morning. The most fortunate person in the universe is the sannyasi Madhavendra Puri. Here's the sweet rice. So he got the sweet rice from Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri was immediately scared. He was immediately scared. He could understand if people hear that Gopinath deity, personally like arranged for me to get the sweet rice, then like they're gonna think, they're gonna think like they're gonna start appreciating me. I'll become famous as a great devotee. And that was like, this is terrible. So he immediately left town. Right? So he didn't. Not only did he not want to take advantage of the situation, just like that would be terrible. Like I really. So he left town. So he so much did not want that, related to what he shared. At the same time, here we are now, hundreds of millions of people all over the world reading about Madhavendra Puri. So his plan didn't work. Very good. My sense is he honored the prasadam. And then he left town. He honored the prasadam to make sure he had the recipe right, to prepare the prasadam. And then he left town like before the sun rose, so people wouldn't start like worshiping him or something.
Even ate the pot.
What's that? He even ate the pot. Yes.
So that he doesn't leave any remnants.
Yeah, I was thinking the qualification to be glorified by the Lord is to not want glorification. You see, the Lord gives us what we don't want anymore.
Yes.
He has a knack for that.
As the saying goes, God does amazing things through those who don't want the credit.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Shakti.